crocheters. This is Karen Whooley, and welcome to episode 1 of Coffee and Crochet with Karen. This podcast is grown out of my live streams and some changes in my life that have not allowed me to live stream as much as I should. So I thought I would do a weekly podcast that's pre-recorded every week, and then hopefully 1 week a month. The last Wednesday of every month, I'll do a live stream as long as my schedule permits. So I just wanted to welcome everybody. If you have never watched any of my live streams, welcome. I hope you'll hit the subscribe button and that you will hit the thumbs up for me here. Okay, so I'm going to get started with an introduction. So I'm Karen Whooley, if my last name's pronounced Whooley, and a lot of people want to call me Wookie or Wooley or all sorts of things, but that's not how it's pronounced. It's Whooley. W is silent, and it is Irish. In Gaelic, it means party. So my husband is half Irish. So when his family came to the United States, they added the W. It's spelled Hooley in Ireland, but I am a full-blooded Italian who married an Irishman. And I learned to crochet in 1974 from my grandmother who grew up in Italy, and she actually learned from her grandmother in Italy. So my background is in Italian laces. So you'll notice even with what I'm wearing right now, I love lace, and I try to use it as much as possible in my patterns. Now, I'm also a mom to 2 adult children. My daughter, Cassie, who is 25 and is married and has my first grandson. And then my son, Tyler, who is 27. And I have 2 cats, Calico named Callie, who is 16, and Amber, who is also 16, and she is a tortoiseshell kitty cat. And we also have a Jersey woolly rabbit named Simone, and she is one of those Siamese colored with the dark brown face and ears and the lighter kind of taupey colored body. She is a fiber rabbit. She's a Jersey woolly, so we brush her and keep her fur. So I do spin her fur a little bit. So that's a little bit about me as far as the personal side. Now, again, I mentioned that I started crocheting at the age of 7. And my grandmother was a woman ahead of her time. She thought I watched too much television. So she taught me how to do all of the basic stitches. And then the next time I saw her, she taught me how to do Italian lace. I did a lot of thread, size 6 steel, a lot of edgings, a lot of doilies, a lot of stuff like that. But then she also would help me whenever I bought a pattern in the store. And because she couldn't read an English pattern, she only spoke Italian, we used a magnifying glass to look at the pictures and reverse engineered the entire pattern. So I think that's why my brain is wired to be a designer, is because I learned construction from pictures and reconstructing what we saw on the patterns. And then also, I just wanted to mention that I did take one class when I was about 10 or 12. I can't remember. My mom sent me to a local yarn shop, and I wanted to learn how to read patterns, but the woman told my mom that I was so far ahead of everyone else that I should just pick out a pattern and make something and learn how to read patterns on my own. So I picked out a Leisure Arts leaflet that had a hooded sweater for baby, and I'll try to post a picture here to show you at this point. And that's how I started to learn to read patterns and to actually write patterns from Leisure Arts leaflets. I can't talk this morning. From there, I just did a lot of crochet for family and friends and stuff like that until I was a stay-at-home mom in the late 90s. And I sold my first pattern to Annie's Attic. It was 3 floral washcloths that were posted in one of the old Annie's half-size magazines. I want to say it was Crochet to Go. I will find the picture and post it here. So you can see my first sold designs. And since then, my career took off. My business grew with my children. My daughter was 6 months old when that first pattern sold. My son was over 2 when those took off. And my business grew with my family. It started teaching on the national circuit in 2004. And that was with the Crochet Guild of America. And for several years, it was just that one time a year that my husband would take a week off and spend with the kids or work from home so I could go to wherever the Crochet Guild of America was holding their events. And then in 2010, I shifted gears a little bit and stopped designing for magazines and other publishers and pretty much went completely independent. So you will see patterns that were in books, especially if you're on Ravelry. I will link in my show notes the Ravelry handle so that you guys can see all my patterns. I have over 460 at this moment, but that's just that are live. I have a bunch in the drafts. So there's going to be patterns being released almost every month for a while. So you're going to see patterns just increasing there. Also, I have a website, KarenWhooley.com. You can see that in my name below me. And all my patterns that are in the current catalog are there. I'm redoing a lot of the patterns you'll see on Ravelry. So be watching for that. I also have 26 books if you include all the leaflets I have done over the years. I have 5 self-published print books and 2 self-published ebooks that I've done. You can find on my website as well. I have all the links again in the show notes. And the last thing I want to just mention right now is that in 2021, I started what is now known as the Crochet Crew. And it is a paid membership community that has a lot of perks. And if you're interested in hearing more about that, I will talk about that in a future podcast. But for right now, I'll have the link in the show notes so you can check it out. Let's go to what's new. Okay, so what's new? First thing I want to mention is what's new is this shawl that I am wearing right now. It is called Spooky Web. And I'm going to put this up here like this so you can see the shawl. It is a side-to-side shawl with this cool lace edging that looks like spider webs. And the pattern was done in Sewrella's fingering weight yarn in the colorway Haunted Mansion from a couple of years ago. I don't know if she still has this colorway available, but it was just perfect for this shawl. And this pattern is going to be released next week on October 10th. So if you're not registered or signed up or subscribed to my newsletter, make sure you do that, because on Tuesday, October 10th, I will be releasing this pattern, and newsletter subscribers always get 35% off the first week that it's available. So if you're interested in this, this is a really fun pattern, really cool lace work. That stitch pattern, if you turn it on its side, I'm going to try to turn this so you can actually see it. There we go. You can see that it almost looks like little spider webs with a little bit of lace on the ends. This would be terrific in black. In fact, on Wednesday next week, you will see one of my followers did do this in black. It was originally released as part of the Crochet Crew last year, 2022, only for them, and now it is available for everyone. So next week, Tuesday, I'll remind you guys again on the podcast next week that it is available, but right now it's not available, but I wanted to show it to you so you guys could get on my newsletter and see the shawl and have the possibility of getting the 35% off. So I'm going to put this back on. This is really fun. I am a larger busted woman, so I always wear my shawls with the points in front, kind of almost like a cowl. I have very few shawls that I can wear like a normal shawl with a tied on one side or a shawl pin or something. This one is not big enough, so this one I definitely wear it as a cowl. But there, you can wear these multiple ways. I really love the side-to-side construction on shawls. What's really cool about this particular pattern is that you're working from one short end to the other, and you're doing the main field, which is the plain, just double crochet here, and the lace all at the same time. And this was a 2 skein project. So there were actually just 4 ends to weave in, the beginning, the end, and then where I had to join the new hank in the middle of the project. But if you have, a hank that is larger than what I used, you may only have 2 ends when you're doing a side-to-side shawl. So this is something to check out. If you really like it, I'd love to hear in the comments what you think about this shawl, what you think about the colorway, what you think about the pattern, what you like about it, what you don't. I love getting comments from people. And so I'd really love for you to mention in the comments anything about the shawl that you'd like, you don't like, whatever you want to tell me. So definitely let's talk about that. Okay, so what else is new? I try to show everything that's new in the studio at the beginning of these podcasts, because a lot of times I'll get new yarns or I'll get a new accessory or something that is fun for you guys to learn about. You may not know about these things. So this one, I don't know how many of you follow Pacific Knit Company or Pacific Knit Co. She is a knit designer, actually, who does a lot of color work. And she has I think she still does a lot of design work, but she has morphed her business into this new area where she does what she calls Doodle cards. And this is a limited edition Seattle deck. I live in the state of Washington, and we lived up north of Seattle for 20 years. So this was near and dear to my heart and my family's heart. So I had to get these. I do not believe she has these on her website any longer. They were a limited edition, but she has autumn ones. She has holiday ones. She has summer ones over the summer. So you may want to check her out. I have her link in the show notes, but I wanted to show these to you because these are really cool. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I have a class on Craftsy called this Fair Isle Crochet, Demystifying Color Work. And it's a technique I developed over several years of doing Fair Isle techniques with crocheted color work in a way that the images don't slant. So like if you're right-handed, everything wants to slant right. If you're left-handed, everything wants to slant left. I give you the illusion in the way I do the stitches that everything is not slanting. It's all straight up and down. And that's why I bought this deck, is because I wanted to try this in crochet. So it comes with a little informational card that says how to doodle with yarn, and she talks about that. And on the back, she shows you how you can even stagger these so that the pictures are all not just lined up in a row. But what's really cool is she also gives you a pattern for a cowl with a picture, and she talks about how many stitches to make it, how big, that kind of thing. And then she also does an infinity cowl schematic. She has a schematic with an information on the back for an infinity cowl using these same cards. Okay, and then the cards themselves, what's really cool about these is all of the motifs that you use are 24 stitches. So you can mix and match these cards any way you want them, and you always have 24 stitches. So like here's a sunrise. I'm gonna try to get these. Here is the mountains. Here's some, Seattle's known for their trees. There's some trees. Hang on a second here. I'm making a mess on my desk here. Here's some more trees and some more trees. And then because we have such a rich Indian, Native American Indian culture here in Washington, she also has like the arrow, the tails of the arrows. That's a really cool feature. Sasquatch or Bigfoot, which Washingtonians are big into. The umbrella or bumbershoot. In Seattle, we call these bumbershoots. In fact, we even have a festival called the Bumbershoot Festival. So that's something that's really cool. We've got, the skyline. We've got the skyline with the great wheel and the Space Needle. We've got the Space Needle on its own. Pike Street, which everybody knows Pike's Place. If you've ever been to Seattle, some more trees. So she's kind of mixed it up with words, and she's mixed it up with traditional Fair Isle pictures. Here's Starbucks, which is really cool. Some more little filler into here's the monorail, more skyline, the big wheel. Here's a different version of the Space Needle. This I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to knit it up to see what it is. The orca tail. Orcas are big here in the state of Washington. You can go orca watching off the coast. So that's a big thing. And I'm not sure what this is either. It looks like, almost looks like a boat. So this could be, because rowing is big here. That could be what that is. I'd have to knit that one up to see, or crochet it up to see what exactly that is. But there's a bunch of these in here. So I highly recommend that if you're interested in crochet color work, to try that. I'm going to actually, in the next few weeks, do something with these. So be watching my podcast for more information about those doodle cards. But what's really cool is they come in these little packages, so you can store them all together like this. You can get a business card folder and stick them in that so that you can have them all spread out, and you can see what you've got, especially if you've got more than one kit. And you can mix and match them, which is really, really the cool part of this. So I wanted to just share that with you. So if you're interested in this, again, I'm going to have her website linked in the show notes. Okay, the last thing is I am starting this podcast in what we call in the fiber arts world Socktober, and everything is socks. Especially if you follow knitting designers at all, you'll notice that there's a lot of sock themed things going on. People are doing a sock a week, a sock pattern a week. How many socks can you get done in the month? All sorts of stuff like that. Well, I haven't noticed a whole lot of crochet happening, especially on Instagram. I haven't really searched on Facebook, but on Instagram, there's not a whole lot of socks being done in crochet. So I'm doing a sock series this year. And for the whole month of October. I just launched yesterday on Tuesday, the first blog post on how to pick the right yarns for your socks. So go, if you haven't gone to my website, my link's right there, right here under my name. You can go and check out the blog and see the first post on picking out yarns. If you're a newsletter subscriber, you had the link in the newsletter to yesterday. So make sure you watch that. And then I'm also going to be starting, I just wound the yarn yesterday. This is yarn from Rose and Roses in South Carolina. She's a hand dyer and a yarn shop owner. This is her sock set in the colorway Bleeding Hearts. And I wound it. This is the contrast color, and here's the main color. I bought it from her in the spring. She did have a few kits last week when I checked her website. I will have a link to her sock sets in the show notes. But I'm going to start probably today filming some video on doing different parts of the sock that I'll be putting on social media. And I'll probably even put here on YouTube, and if you're watching on Rumble, because I scoop these up and they go into Rumble as well. Just little bits of doing socks. So I usually start with the cuff. When I'm teaching socks, I do the cuff down version first. So I'll probably start with the cuff. This is going to be the cuff, the heel, and the toe of these socks. So be watching for that. But I really loved this colorway, even though it's not fall. I thought this would be fun to do video of socks, because it'd be bright and cheery as you're watching the videos that I'm going to be doing. So be prepared for that. So how many of you are doing anything for Socktober? Have you crocheted socks before? Do you like to knit socks? I do both. I knit and crochet socks. I learned to knit socks first from my grandmother's, my other grandmother, who was a knitter. She had a sock pattern that I got, and it was handwritten in her handwriting. It's the socks that she did when I was growing up and my dad was growing up. And so I learned to knit socks from her, and then I took her pattern and I converted it to crochet, and that's how I developed my crocheted socks. Now, if you didn't know anything about me and my books, I have 2 books on socks. One is from Leisure Arts, and I'll put a picture here of the book itself. It's called I Can't Believe I'm Crocheting Socks. I'm the author of that. And then I also have a book called Crochet Rock Socks, and you can purchase that on my website. That's a self-published book. And I want to let you guys know too that my all of my sock books and my sock patterns on my website for the entire month of October are 15% off. No coupon needed. Just go in and order those. So I will link all of those things to the bottom here at the show notes. But I wanted to let you know that those are on sale for the entire month. So if you want to try to make some socks, I have a pattern called Mix and Match Cuff Down Crocheted Socks and Mix and Match Toe Up Crocheted Socks. And those are the 2 patterns that I recommend for beginners. And I don't have the Leisure Arts book on my website. You have to actually go to Leisure Arts to buy it, or I think Amazon carries it as well. But the I Can't Believe I'm Crocheting Socks is perfect for the beginner in sock construction. So definitely check those out if you're interested in crocheting socks. And I'm one of those people that you can always come to me and say, send me an email. I have an email address here at the bottom of my show notes as well, that you can always ask me a question or send me a comment as well. If you're not comfortable in leaving a comment here on YouTube or on Rumble, you can always shoot me an email using that email address. So just make sure you want to get in touch with me. That's the email address that you can use. Okay, so let's talk about projects. Okay, so I'm going to open up my little bag here. I just have to show this bag. This is from Chaos Fiber Arts. She made these bags I think it was last year. I don't know that she has any more on her website, but this is a perfect project bag size for a garment, in my opinion. But I am working on, this is a project that is just going to go on the hook today because I finally got all the numbers worked out. But this is from Forbidden Fibers. It is her Fortitude base, and it's 100% superwash merino. It is 475 yards for 113 grams, which is 4 ounces fingering weight, in the color pomegranate. And I am designing a sweater. It's going to be a cardigan in this yarn. I love the color, and on screen it looks pretty close to what it looks like in person. It might be just a little deeper, but I love the black overtones that she's got in here. And I thought this would be a perfect classic cardigan color. So hopefully by next week, you'll get to see a portion of a sweater I am designing using this yarn. So that's the first project I want to talk about. Forbidden Fibers is one of my favorite dyers out there. She is based in Tennessee, I believe it's Tennessee. And I can probably tell you from here. Nope, it doesn't say on here. But I have done mystery kits with her for several years, and I love her yarns. Her Fortitude base is probably my favorite base of all her bases. But I just wanted to share her with you, and I will have a link to her website in the show notes as well. So that's the first project. And then one of the things I do in between projects, or when I need a time to just stop and do something else and not use my brain to design something, is I do knit. I am a knitter also. Just don't design in knitting. There's too many other great knitters out there that I feel like I would be encroaching on what they do. So don't design in knit, but I do like to knit. And this is a baby hat that I do for charity. I give these to the Prepareds organization, NICUs. There used to be a layup program when I lived on the western side of Washington that always needed baby hats. So I would knit these, and I would crochet them as well. But the knit I like these because it gets my mind off of what I'm doing in crochet for a while. And sometimes I can figure out a problem when I'm knitting. But this is using Cascade Fixation yarn. I don't know what the colorway is on this one. I don't have the label, unfortunately, but they come in these little balls. But I like the Fixation because they stretch. Whether you crochet or knit hats, they stretch a lot. They're a cotton elastic blend. So there's some stretch in there. And so this is just a little basic hat from, I knit from the bottom up. I'm about ready to do the crown. I've just got another probably about 1/4 to 1/2 inch before I can start the crown of the hat. So this is something I've been working on too. Simple pattern, cast on, if you're a knitter, cast on 80 stitches, then knit for 4 to 5 inches. If you want a rolled brim, like this is starting to roll, you can roll your brim. And I would do 5 if you just want a straight brim. Just do 4 inches, and then you just do a decrease for the crown, starting with 10 stitches, going down to 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, until you have 8 total stitches, and then you can weave it all together, sew it up, and weave in the ends. Simple hat if you're a knitter. So that is the other project I'm working on. Okay, so now that we are starting this new podcast, I wanted to do a section on what is the future of this podcast. So let's do that. The first thing I wanted to cover is that I am going to start, probably starting next week, having a topic of the week. And if you need me to cover something, I would love your input on topics. I mean, I can think of things myself, and I do have a survey that I have done with my newsletter subscribers that I'm going to be pulling some ideas for topics as well. But if you have anything that you would like me to talk about on this podcast, go to the link KarenWhooley.com/topics. And there's a form that all you have to do is put in your name, your email, and what topic you would like me to cover. Now, I can't cover like a full class on these podcasts. It would be a lot to do on a podcast like this. But I would love to do some short topics, whether it's how to weave ends, or getting started with Tunisian, or what are the best tools for some sort of project, or where do I buy my yarns, or how to organize my yarns, or anything like that. A word in crochet that you don't understand, send me that information so that I can make sure to have a topic every single week. Again, that link is KarenWhooley.com, just like you see in my name down below, is /topics. And that's the form. And just the only thing I ask is that when you fill out the form, you only put one topic in per entry, but you can enter a lot of different topics. And the reason I ask for your email address is so I can let you know when I am going to talk about that topic. So make sure you do that. And I will let you know when your topic will be covered. And then also, I would love to hear from you in the comments underneath this video. Next week, I want to have a section on comments, and it could be comments about anything I talked about today. If you're interested in my shawl, questions about my shawl, anything about socks that you want to ask me, or comment about crocheting socks, or whether or not you like crocheting socks, or if you have ever crocheted socks. I'd love to hear this stuff. You can give me a story about crocheting socks. You can ask me anything about crocheting in general in the comments, or tell me a story about crochet. Tell me how you learned how to crochet. I love hearing about how you learned to crochet from my followers and subscribers. So I would love it if you left me a comment here, or if you are uncomfortable leaving a comment on YouTube, you can always shoot me an email. I will have the email address linked in the show notes. I'm going to be setting up a new email address for that. So that's why I'm not saying it online right now, because I don't know what it's going to be until after I finish filming this. So just make sure that you do that. Okay. If there's anything else you want to contact me about, you can always use that email address. I would love it if you shoot me a note or left me a comment. That's great. I am very accessible. Just give me at least 48 hours, business hours. Because weekends I try not to do anything work related, but give me 48 business hours to get back to you on any comments or questions. But I do try very hard to answer every single person who ever writes to me, whether it's in a comment or if it's in an email. So I hope that you will do that. And don't forget, if you really enjoyed this first episode, please hit the subscribe button and also hit the thumbs up, just so that the algorithm sees that you have watched this and that you enjoyed it. I would love to hear from you. But for now, I'm going to say goodbye, and I will talk to you all next week. Have an awesome rest of your week and talk to you next time. Bye, y'all.